Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day, and I hope your weekend is off to a fantastic start. If you enjoy Cardano updates, cryptocurrency market analysis, Bitcoin technical insights, macroeconomic news, and detailed breakdowns of the biggest events shaping the digital asset market, then you're in the right place. Today we're going to take a closer look at Cardano, also known as ADA, discuss what Bitcoin is signaling right now, examine why this upcoming week could become one of the most important weeks for the crypto market in recent memory, and explain why many investors are beginning to pay close attention to the same bullish signals that we've been watching for quite some time. There are several major catalysts approaching, including regulatory developments, inflation data, and market positioning that could have a significant impact on crypto prices over the coming days. So make sure you stay with me until the very end, because there's a lot to cover. This video is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial or investment advice. Cryptocurrency investing involves substantial risk, and prices can be extremely volatile. Always conduct your own research, evaluate your personal financial situation, and consult a qualified financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Well, happy Saturday once again to everyone watching. I sincerely hope you're enjoying your weekend and getting a chance to relax, because despite the market appearing relatively quiet on the surface, there are actually several important developments building behind the scenes. As we entered the weekend, the crypto market has remained surprisingly calm. Cardano has been trading almost completely flat, while Bitcoin continues pushing against an important trend level that traders across the market are watching very closely. Although price action may not seem exciting at first glance, this type of quiet market environment often develops just before significant volatility returns. Everything happening right now appears to be leading into what could become a very important week for both Bitcoin and Cardano, with multiple major events scheduled that every crypto investor should be aware of. Throughout this video, we'll break down each of those developments, explain why they matter, and discuss how they could influence ADA and the broader cryptocurrency market moving forward. Another interesting development worth mentioning is that more and more people are beginning to notice the same things regarding Cardano that we've been discussing over the past several weeks. The market sentiment surrounding ADA appears to be gradually shifting, and investors are starting to recognize that despite recent consolidation, Cardano continues showing signs of attempting a meaningful recovery. Yesterday, earlier in the trading session, we saw encouraging green candles across portions of the crypto market, creating optimism that momentum might continue. However, by the time the day came to a close, that enthusiasm had cooled considerably, and the market ended on what could best be described as a neutral or uneventful note. Cardano itself finished the day with only about a 0.06% gain, which may not seem particularly impressive, but the important takeaway isn't necessarily the percentage increase. The more significant observation is that ADA continues attempting to reverse its recent pullback, correct its course, and slowly work its way back toward higher price levels. Even though the gains have been modest, the overall structure still suggests that buyers are trying to regain control. At the time of this discussion, Cardano is showing approximately a 0.6% gain for the day. Looking across the broader cryptocurrency market, performance remains mixed, with some assets trading slightly higher while others are experiencing small declines. One of the biggest themes influencing today's trading session is extremely light trading activity. Total cryptocurrency trading volume over the last 24 hours has remained around $53 billion, which is relatively low compared to periods of heightened market activity. In reality, this has been a fairly modest trading week overall. Earlier in the week, we experienced a noticeable surge in trading volume as market participants reacted to various developments, but after that initial burst of activity, momentum quickly faded. As the week progressed, trading gradually became quieter, volatility declined, and many investors appeared to step back while waiting for new catalysts. This reduction in participation isn't necessarily bearish, but it does indicate that the market may be patiently waiting for fresh information before making its next significant move. Cardano also experienced a healthy amount of profit-taking during the week following its impressive rally. After closing the previous week with gains exceeding 30%, it's completely normal for some investors to secure profits after such a strong upward movement. During this correction, A-Day gave back approximately 11% of those gains, which actually represents a relatively controlled pullback considering the size of the previous rally. Instead of viewing this as a sign of weakness, many traders interpret this type of retracement as a necessary reset that allows the market to establish stronger support before attempting another upward move. In many previous market cycles, similar pullbacks have served as the foundation for the next leg higher. Of course, there are never guarantees in financial markets, and nobody can predict future price movements with certainty. Whether Cardano successfully continues higher from this point will depend on several important factors, including Bitcoin's next directional move and the flow of positive or negative news throughout the coming week. Bitcoin remains the most influential asset in the cryptocurrency market, and its price action will likely determine the direction of nearly every major altcoin, including Cardano. One of the biggest questions investors continue asking is whether Bitcoin is currently forming a bottom before beginning another powerful rally. Looking at historical market behavior, many of Bitcoin's strongest advances have started after periods of uncertainty, low volatility, and accumulation exactly like what we're witnessing today. Previous cycles have shown that these quieter phases frequently provide some of the best long-term accumulation opportunities before Bitcoin begins another explosive move higher. Based on recent market behavior, there is certainly a reasonable possibility that Bitcoin is in the process of establishing another foundation before attempting its next major advance. Adding to that optimism is the fact that we recently experienced another week characterized by strong institutional buying activity. Institutional investors often accumulate positions during periods when retail interest remains relatively low, and that pattern appears consistent with what we've been observing. One of the biggest developments everyone should be watching this week involves the Clarity Act. According to current expectations, there is a possibility that the Senate could begin voting on this legislation as early as Monday. While there is absolutely no guarantee that a vote will occur on that exact timeline, the possibility alone is enough to make this an event worth monitoring closely. Regulatory clarity has long been considered one of the largest catalysts for the cryptocurrency industry because it provides businesses, institutional investors, and market participants with greater confidence regarding the legal framework surrounding digital assets. Historically, whenever the market has received unexpectedly positive news related to the Clarity Act or similar regulatory progress, cryptocurrency prices have often reacted favorably. In many cases, these positive announcements have arrived when investors weren't fully expecting them, creating sharp upward price movements. If something similar happens again and lawmakers deliver encouraging news, we could easily witness renewed momentum across the crypto market. Such an event could also trigger significant short liquidations as traders betting against the market are forced to close losing positions, accelerating upward price action even further. Regulation isn't the only catalyst investors need to watch this week. We also have two major macroeconomic reports scheduled that have the potential to influence both traditional financial markets and cryptocurrencies. On Tuesday, investors will receive the latest Consumer Price Index, commonly known as the CPI report. Inflation data has consistently been one of the most influential economic indicators because it shapes expectations regarding future monetary policy decisions. Historically, crypto markets have reacted strongly following CPI releases, especially when inflation numbers come in significantly above or below expectations. Then on Wednesday, markets will receive the Producer Price Index, or PPI report. Although PPI generally produces a smaller market reaction compared to CPI, it still provides valuable insight into inflation trends and can influence investor sentiment. Together, these two economic reports represent additional catalysts capable of increasing volatility throughout the week, making it especially important for crypto investors to stay informed. Another encouraging trend for Cardano continues developing behind the scenes. Exchange flow data suggests that this week is on track to finish with another net negative flow for ADA. In simple terms, this means more ADA continues leaving centralized exchanges than being deposited onto them. While we did observe some exchange inflows during the previous week, the overall trend has once again shifted back toward outflows. Even more importantly, Cardano continues reaching new all-time lows regarding the amount of ADA held on exchanges. This metric is closely watched because lower exchange balances generally indicate that investors are moving their coins into long-term storage rather than preparing to sell them immediately. As available exchange supply continues shrinking, any meaningful increase in buying demand has the potential to create much stronger upward price movements simply because fewer coins remain readily available for purchase. Supply and demand dynamics remain one of the most powerful forces in financial markets, and this ongoing reduction in exchange supply continues strengthening Cardano's long-term fundamental outlook. From a technical analysis perspective, Cardano may also be developing a pattern that has historically produced favorable results. Previous market cycles have demonstrated that ADA has performed exceptionally well after completing inverse head and shoulders formations. While it's still too early to confirm whether the current structure will ultimately evolve into that exact pattern, it remains an encouraging possibility worth monitoring as we move through the remainder of the weekend and into next week. Technical patterns alone should never be considered guarantees of future performance, but when combined with improving fundamentals, declining exchange supply, institutional accumulation, upcoming regulatory developments, and important macroeconomic events, they create a much more compelling overall picture than price action alone might suggest. Overall, although today's market appears relatively quiet and there haven't been many major headlines or dramatic developments over the last 24 hours, the broader picture remains constructive. Sometimes the most important periods in financial markets are the calm moments before volatility returns. Right now, Cardano appears to be holding its ground reasonably well after a healthy correction. Bitcoin continues testing important technical levels, institutional participation remains encouraging, exchange supply continues declining, and multiple significant catalysts are approaching throughout the coming week. If these events unfold positively, they could provide the momentum needed for both Bitcoin and Cardano to continue building on their recent recovery. Of course, markets always carry uncertainty, and unexpected events or sudden volatility can occur at any time. Hopefully, we can maintain stability throughout the weekend without major surprises or manipulation, allowing the market to enter the new week from a position of strength. As always, patience, discipline, and careful risk management remain some of the most valuable tools any investor can have. Thank you so much for watching today's update. I truly appreciate every single one of you for spending your time here. Now I'd love to hear from you. Do you believe Cardano is preparing for its next major breakout? Are you expecting positive Clarity Act news? How do you think the CPI and PPI reports will impact Bitcoin and the overall crypto market? Share your thoughts down in the comments below, because I'd love to hear your opinion. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any future Cardano, Bitcoin, and cryptocurrency updates. Thank you again for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.